This is Steve Gross, who along with Susan Daley are the artists of the Blue Gardens Photography Show that's part of the spring and summer schedule of exhibits at the Fenimore Museum this season. I'm sure you've heard that the opening of the museum has been postponed, so we thought we'd tell you a bit about our work and give you a glimpse of the show. Susan and I have been working together for many years as a photography team, photographing architecture and landscapes around the country for magazines and commissions for designers and architects. But our particular fascination is with the historical places that we think are so interesting and important to document. Locations that give you a sense of not only place, but of time and time passing. Places where you get a real feeling of the people who live there, or in cases of gardens, a chance to experience a bit of the kind of opulence and over-the-top fantasy worlds that surround these old estates. Actually, our first book that we did in the 1980s included Hyde Hall, that's right here in Cooperstown. It's a really wonderful old house, full of atmosphere. The Northeast has some of the best estate gardens in the country. In 1999, we did a book, Gardens of the Hudson Valley, which had some wonderful private gardens, but also included landmark estate gardens like Blythewood on the Bard campus, Kykuit, the Rockefeller Estate, and Untermeyer Gardens in Yonkers, which we have some prints of here in the show. When we do a book like Old Houses or Gardens of the Hudson Valley, we first do a lot of research, then select about 20 places to profile in photo essays in each book. It's about both the history and beauty of the place. Many of these gardens were designed by some of America's most important landscape designers, Andrew Jackson Downing, Fletcher Steele, and Frederick Law Olmsted, to name a few. Doing a book is a way for people to see these places that they might not otherwise visit, and in some cases, like in the photo of Lisbourne Grange with the swimming pool ruin, well, that's on private property and not open to the public. We've also done a lot of traveling and photographing in the South, and included in the show is Magnolia Gardens outside of Charleston. That's a very historic garden from the 1820s, one of the first to have camellias and azaleas in America. Matthew Brady even photographed it. We also included another place in Charleston, also named Magnolia. This one's a cemetery with the Pyramid Mausoleum. In the 1850s, when the cemetery was built, it was a designed garden landscape that was a popular place for carriage rides and picnics. Our idea for the Blue Garden series is to create a portfolio of gardens that exist in a timeless place that's neither in the present or historical, based in reality of today, but dreamlike at the same time. We printed them in blue monotone rather than full color to unanchor them from reality just a bit, set them adrift in time, and to reference cyanotypes, one of the first photographic processes. Cyanotypes were invented in 1842, and a year later, Anna Atkins, a British botanist and photographic pioneer, published a book of nature studies of seaweed and algae that is said to be the first illustrated book of photographs. We were also inspired by the work of Eugene Atget, who in the late 1880s and early 1900s photographed the streets and gardens of Paris, trying to document a city that he saw was being lost to modernization. Atget would go out very early in the morning with his big view camera before the streets were too crowded and make photographs using very long exposures, so any people in the scenes blurred away, giving his cityscapes a deserted, haunting quality. When we photograph a garden or landscape, we're also interested in how it varies through the seasons and the effects of weather, how the light and vistas change when the trees are bare or in early spring as the first buds emerge. Sometimes we'll shoot on an overcast or even misty day, like the big print from Kykuit that was shot with a soft rain falling, or in the other large print, the one of Untermeyer Garden with the ominous sky. That was photographed on a day Hurricane Dorian was moving up the East Coast last year. We do hope you have a chance to come to the museum and see the show. It'll be up this summer and fall through September.